All right. Good evening, everyone. Hockey fans and non-hockey fans alike. Welcome to the Belly Up Sports Stanley Cup playoffs, the Stanley Cup Final Super Show. Again, we are presented by Belly Up Sports. Tune in. Thank you for tuning in, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. Thank you for being here. Hit that like button, hit the share button, all that good stuff. We appreciate you joining us. We've got a great panel tonight. We're going to talk about the rematch between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. For the Florida Panthers, it's their third straight Stanley Cup Final appearance. They won last year by the skin of their teeth. They won last year after blowing a 3-0 series lead, but they came back and won in Game 7. Meanwhile, so can they go back-to-back? It's the first time we've had back-to-back opponents go against each other since 2008, 2009, when Detroit and Pittsburgh face each other. They split that one apiece. So the narrative going into this is, can the Florida Panthers repeat? Large with the same roster they had last year, but with a few additions here and there, making a few tweaks to the trade deadline. As for the Edmonton Oilers, is this the year they get the Stanley Cup? Is this the year Canada wins the Stanley Cup? The first time since 1993 that Canada, a Canadian-based team, wins the Stanley Cup. The last team to do it was the Montreal Canadiens. They've had a few sniffs here and there. They got close last year. Edmonton Oilers did. So are they out for revenge? Is this the revenge tour for Connor McDavid and company? So lots to be determined. All I know is that this is going to be a great series. It's going to be a fun series. I hope it goes all 7, to be honest with you. But we've got a great panel tonight on our show, on this show. For Belly Up Sports, is our Stanley Cup Final Super Show. Going to introduce our panel first from the 1420 Sports Podcast and the general manager of the Lethbridge Bulls baseball team. He is also an Alberta-born boy. We got Brent Redlinski from the 1420 Podcast. Brent, how are we doing tonight, man?
Ryan, I'm doing good. We spoke a few weeks back, or almost a month and a half ago, I guess, when the playoff first started, and we had a nice conversation about how this is all going to turn out. And here we are. It's down to 2 from 16. It should be a lot of fun. And the province of Alberta is they're a buzz right now with the Oilers back in the Stanley Cup Final, so it should be a lot of fun.
I see you got your alternate orange Oiler jersey on, so I guess we know who you're rooting for, but
no hiding this one. There's no hiding.
No hiding that one. Obviously not. All right, we're going to bring our next panelist. He is from the 3rd and 10 podcast. He's also a writer for Belly Up Sports, and he's also on my side project, the 3 Reels Metro Hockey Podcast. We've got another hockey enthusiast, Brian Germanaro. Brian, how are you doing tonight, sir?
What's up, boys? Doing great. Excited to be on the show again.
Yeah, man. I see you're also wearing an orange and blue colored shirt, sorta, but it's not for the Edmonton Oilers.
No.
For a New York-based team.
In New York. It's for the best baseball team in New York.
$765 million is all I got to say, but whatever.
Down the train. But we're not talking about baseball tonight. We're going to talk about the Stanley Cup Final. I know you are like myself, a New York-born hockey enthusiast. You're a Rangers fan. But they got their own changes. But we're not going to talk about the Rangers tonight. We're talking about the Stanley Cup Final, the 2 teams in the Stanley Cup Final. And our third panelist on this show, he is actually my fellow co-host on our podcast, No Credentials Required. He's also a resident Edmonton Oilers fan in the Albany, New York capital region area, bringing in Dustin Henry. Dustin, how we doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. I'm intimidated. It's great to see you as always, but I am intimidated by the hockey knowledge on this panel. Spoiler for everyone watching, it's not me, but I do root for the Oilers. So I have some thoughts, and I mowed my lawn before this. I ran, so I'm on one. I'm ready to go.
Well, I got nothing. If not for nothing, they got you jazzed up for this program.
Oh, they do. They do. I'm excited, but I'm very nervous. But that's just me as a sports fan whenever any of my teams are in anything. So
that's okay. I mean, hey, last year you had 2 of your teams in last year between the Dallas Mavericks and the Edmonton Oilers. So
I did.
So you're lucky to have them back in the final. And before we went on in the green, we were talking about the Dallas Mavericks a little bit, but we'll talk about that tomorrow night. That's tomorrow night, no credentials required. Shameless plug. But before tomorrow, and actually before Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is when the puck will drop in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final, We're going to do this show in 3 periods. We're going to talk about the Florida Panthers first, then we're going to talk about the Edmonton Oilers. Then we'll make our predictions in the 3rd period. But let's start with the Florida Panthers. The first period, it's all about the Florida Panthers, the Eastern Conference champion for the 3rd year in a row. 2023, they were technically the 8th seed. Nobody really gave them a chance, and they went and they beat technically the greatest team, regular season team of all time, the Boston Bruins, and they went all the way to the Stanley Cup in 2023, lost to Vegas in 5 games. Last year, they returned to the Stanley Cup Final, won the Stanley Cup in 7 games. Again, although they blew a 3-0 series lead, had to rely on their goaltending to get them to the last win. Then this year, this is how they got to the Stanley Cup Final. How we got here. They finished 3rd in the Atlantic Division with 98 points, only 1 point ahead of the Ottawa Senators, who, if they had tied, Florida would have been in the 3 seed anyway. But they beat Tampa in 5 games. They beat Toronto in 7 games in the next round. Then in the Eastern Conference Final, they beat the Carolina Hurricanes in 5 games, which brings us to this point. Let's talk about some players to watch on this team. Brian, I'm going to start with you, the youngster.
All right.
Start with the youngster here, and let's talk about this Florida Panthers team. Talk about some players to watch on this squad.
My big player to watch is Sam Bennett. The renaissance this playoff he's had. You know, he leads the Panthers in goal. I believe he leads the entire NHL in goals this playoff with 10. He's got 16 points, 3 power play goals. I'm excited to see if this hot streak has been on can carry over into the finals. And if it does, that's going to help out the Panthers a lot, especially on their power play.
Now, Brent, how about you? Which Florida Panthers are you watching on this squad?
Well, you look at the guy with the playoff experience and just the winning experience he's had. You talked about the Bruins there; they blew it a couple of years back, but the acquisition of Brad Marchand just made this team. I don't want to say lethal because I still think they can be had, but Brad Marchand adding that experience to this team with a team that's already had a bunch of experience in the finals the last couple of years, and then you add Marchand in there, and then you have I'm a bit of a goalie hugger, so you got to get Bobrovsky in net there. He's probably the top 3 guys in the world, and that might be something the Oilers haven't faced so far. But I think that the acquisition of Marchand and Seth Jones as well, because Jones came he's highly recruited out of junior, and he's had a really good career. Went to Chicago, things didn't work out because Chicago. But the acquisitions they made for Jones and Marchand just made this Florida team, I don't want to say unbeatable, but really, really tough because they play a heavy, hard style, mean style of hockey, not mean like the 80s and the 90s kind of mean, but more within the rules, I guess. So those 2 guys add that little bit of sandpaper to an already pretty rough team. So those 2 guys that you add into that with obviously Tkachuk and Barkov and the rest of them, they're a heavy, hard team to play. And that grit of Marchand, you're right there.
I like that. I like that expression, sandpaper. A little grit. You know, it's the grit of the sandpaper. Dustin, how about you? Florida Panthers. Who are you watching in this final?
Well, I gotta echo some of Brent's thoughts there because my eyes are going to be squarely focused on Bobrovsky. He is where goaltending is where I think the Panthers unquestionably have an edge in this series. Bobrovsky can get as hot as anybody. He can stop a ton of shots. He's done it for years now. And, usually when a goalie gets hot or is on a run, that team has a pretty good chance of hoisting the cup. I also have to, Tkachuk is the heart of this team too. He guaranteed in an earlier series, I can't remember, but they faced some adversity and he said, we will be back here. And he pretty much guaranteed it. And, I feel like the team rallies around him sometimes, but Bobrovsky is the one to watch for me, for sure.
All right. Now let's talk about some potential matchup strengths that the Panthers have. Brent, I'm gonna have you take a beginner at this. What are some strengths that the Panthers hold against compared to the Edmonton Oilers, in your opinion?
I don't normally give guys credit a whole bunch, the guys behind the bench, but just Paul Maurice, he's been around this league for so long as compared to Knobloch, the coach of the Oilers, and just that wisdom that he has, and the way he can manipulate the media a little bit, and he can manipulate the players and get things going his way. I think the biggest matchup for me, obviously, McDavid's McDavid. He's above everybody on the ice, well, right across the league. But I think that having the head coach Paul Maurice, he hasn't done a bunch of winning until last year, but he also coached a lot of bad teams over the years. But I think that Paul Maurice is the guy that is the difference maker, because up and down the lineup, these two teams are pretty much matched pretty evenly. Yeah, you have this guy might be better than that guy, but in general, the four lines are the four lines. But I think the head coaching matchup that the Panthers have is the one, and you don't want to say a guarantee, but I think that having the experience he has and not panicking, he's that kind of a guy. Because remember, Knobloch only came in middle of last season and kind of fell into a pretty good warm pool of butter a little bit in his butt cheeks there that he got through. But Maurice has just been, he's always right there. He's always just says the right thing, makes the right changes. And that's the one matchup that I would give for sure. You could go right down defense, center, forward, blah, blah, blah. But definitely the Panthers hold the edge on in the coaching column.
All right, Brian, how about you? What's some strengths that the Panthers have? You feel they have over the Edmonton Oilers?
For starters, I feel like this is a more, like we talked about, they have that sandpaper, that nastiness to them, that grit. I feel like the Panthers are the more gritty team, especially with the loss of Hyman for the Oilers. I think that's going to go against them pretty badly. I also think the Panthers are the deeper team offensively. You know, we've seen, you know, there's 10 players in this lineup with 10 or more points. You know, 3 players had 7 points in the Eastern Conference Finals. While the Oilers have gotten better outside of just relying on McDavid and Draisaitl, those are the two guys that they will constantly lean on. So if you can shut them down, their offense becomes kind of hamstrung.
All right, Dustin, how about you? Any thoughts on the matchup the strengths of the Florida Panthers have?
Well, I have a bad habit of this. I kind of teased it already, but I think goaltending is where the Panthers really have the advantage. They haven't had the issues. You know, Bobrovsky, he's not going to get rattled. He's been on teams. He's been in playoff big scenarios before. He knows what to do. The Oilers, you know, Skinner gets rattled and Pickard has to come in sometimes and bail him out and kind of hit the reset button. The Panthers don't have that issue. And I will agree with Brian as far as the physicality. I hate to say it, but I think the Panthers have the edge in that as well. They're a little tougher. They're a little tougher than the Oilers are. But it's goaltending for me. Goaltending, I keep focusing on it.
Got a couple of comments in the comments section already from the High Low Sports Podcast. I'm not sure if it's DJ or Kelsey. They're saying Oilers will secure revenge in 6 games. Ooh, spicy. Getting predictions already. But I also have another prediction. Kevin Wilson from Belly Up Fantasy Sports saying, sorry, I couldn't be with you fellas. Go Panthers. I think I know why he's rooting for the Panthers.
I have a feeling. Kevin, we're going to talk about it on Saturday. We're going to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the chat, whether you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Twitter. Leave us a question, leave us a comment. We'll definitely get to it during the show. But on the flip side, it's about these. We're going to go to the second period. We're going to talk about these. Oh, actually, I do want to throw a question out to the panel here. Does the playoff experience that the Florida Panthers have, does it also give them a little bit of an advantage? Because this is a battle-tested team. This is a team that has that reached the pinnacle in 2023, got knocked down by an absolute wagon in the Vegas Golden Knights. I know people have their opinions of how they got there with the long-term IR, with the whole controversy. We'll discuss. That's another topic for another day. Then last year they reached the Stanley Cup Final for the second consecutive time, and they went and they beat Edmonton, and now third straight Stanley Cup. Do you think? And I'm gonna start with Dustin here, because he's gonna try not to pick on him because an Oilers fan because they lost last year, but
they did.
Do you think last season's Cup win, as well as the their appearance in 2023? Does it give them more of an advantage?
I would say this is where I'm going to kind of zag because initially I thought about this and I'm going, oh, Panthers have the advantage, but I'm going to give the edge to the Oilers because the Oilers, I'm going to say the Oilers are hungry. They're hungry to avenge last year's loss. And yes, they went down 3-0 and they came back. They clawed their way back. Yes, they lost in Game 7. And the Panthers, credit to the Panthers were able to take the momentum back in that heartbreaking Game 7. Heartbreaking for me because I wanted the Oilers to come out on top. But I actually think the Oilers, I think this may be their last year's experience is what gives them the edge to me over the Panthers in this. It's harder to repeat because when you're the champ, you're going to get everybody's best shot. Everybody wants to knock you off. And the Oilers have double incentive to do so.
All right.
I agree.
Brent, go ahead.
I agree. I obviously I'm wearing the Oilers, you can see, so I'm a little bit biased. But the thing, playing going to the finals 3 years in a row, that's a lot of hockey. You get your rest, but these guys don't really have an off season. When you're playing, and you got a few aging guys on that team in comparison, and losing the way the Oilers did last year. And I don't know if you guys remember seeing that video of McDavid, basically just melting down and losing his ever loving crap afterwards. And I think that's a lot of ammunition for the Oilers, and just the way McDavid's been playing these playoffs. He's obviously the best player in the world, but he's been playing with that little extra edge, and he has that look that we're not losing. So it's to take the old Ric Flair saying, to be the man, you got to beat the man. But exactly, I just think that the way McDavid kind of needs this for a legacy. I mean, the guy's going to the Hall of Fame if he's to retire tomorrow. He's in already, and to have your name on your Hall of Fame plaque in Toronto doesn't mean anything. It doesn't say Stanley Cup champion on it, and because that's a big thing for these guys. And I think that a lot of these guys have one. And so obviously you want another one. I'm not saying that the Panthers don't, but with McDavid not having one, and the way they lost last year, coming back, I think it's a little extra ammunition for the so that might be for the Oilers, but so that might be a bit of a wash too. But I think that the Oilers losing the way they did last year is a bit of a sour grapes for not just McDavid, but for the franchise in general.
All right, Brian, any thoughts about that? About the
I'm gonna zag a little bit. Why I agree that it can kind of light a fire under you to go out there and get revenge for last year, prove everyone wrong. I think at the same time, there's also more confidence on the Panthers side. Like, hey, we were in this exact spot last year and we beat them. We just have to go out and play that style of hockey that we know how to do. We know we could beat them. So the pressure won't get to them, and the size of the moment won't, because they've already been here before.
I gotta ask Brian, is that a Danbury Hat Tricks hat?
It is a Danbury Hat Tricks hat.
Hey.
I'm from Danbury.
There you go. Have you had a chance to interview Diamond Hands yet?
Not yet. I've met him a few times and talked to him a few times, but never got a chance to. When I was an intern there, I tried to do a piece on him, but he was injured, so and suspended. So
yeah, I saw that. Yeah, if you don't know who he is, to the audience who I'm speaking with right now, if you don't know who Diamond Hands is, just do a Google search for him.
Oh, he's awesome. He's amazing.
So I got some intangibles here. One of the intangibles that the Florida Panthers have, I think it's an advantage over the Florida Panthers. Pre-game DQ blizzards.
Oh man!
If you don't know, you gotta know. So I guess the routine for the playoffs is some of the guys, I think Brad Marchand included, they go to one of the local Dairy Queens in the Sunrise area. And they all get blizzards before they go to the ring to suit up and for pregame skate. So
steal from Shorzy, the ice pop from Shorzy.
No. Cones are or after game. This is pregame blizzard. That's post game cones. Cones are amazing, by the way.
Once a team is won and they have the confidence, and you add a guy like Marchand, and you have that loosey goosey attitude, you can't replace that. That's something that the Oilers, I don't want to say they're wound tight, but they're wound tight. They know that they're not going to get a whole bunch of chances after this. And I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion that McDavid's going to sign after next year. So if not now, then when? So
or Draisaitl for that matter.
Draisaitl signed,
Yeah.
but he's
okay.
But he could also say trade me now if McDavid leaves. But it's that loose attitude. You can't replace that right now. To be wound tight and you get 4 games, all of a sudden one can get away from you, 2 can get away from you, all of a sudden you're down 2-0. And if the Oilers think that they can come back down from 3-0 this time around, not a chance.
Yeah,
it won't happen. So that loose attitude and you're not too far away from it there, Ryan. Having some blizzards before the game and not really, for lack of a better term, not really caring about things a little bit. You can't replace that. Like that inside confidence, that's got to be something, because you don't lose your skill. You lose that 7.5 inch between your ears. That's what goes away on you, and that can happen so fast in the playoffs. And like I said, that Marchand acquisition was huge, and why other teams didn't go out and make a move. Toronto, make a move for a guy like that.
I know
the Maple Leaf killer the Maple Leaf killer on the Maple Leafs would have been just
the only way, right?
Hey, if they're smart, they do anything they can to bring him in this summer. Just saying,
it wouldn't hurt. I mean, I'd throw $6 million at him. Why not?
Oh my God, yeah. 100%.
I mean, if you're in a city like Miami / Sunrise, and I wouldn't say you're not recognizable if you go out for a blizzard, but you couldn't pull it off in Edmonton because people would be all over you. But maybe, maybe, and this is a thought, maybe before Game 3, maybe Coach Knobloch can call in an order for some root beer floats from the local A&W.
Not too far down the road, there's one actually not too far from
here we go.
the stadium. So there it is. Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Oilers, let's talk about these. Oilers in period 2, and we got the graphic right there. It's a beautiful graphic, great, made by our super producer tonight, Kelsey, in the background, doing a great job. Let's talk about these Oilers. These Oilers finished 3rd place in the Pacific Division. They were slated to face the Los Angeles Kings in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and didn't look good for them early. Fell behind 2-0. Stuart Skinner was yanked in Game 2, did not start Game 3. And Calvin Pickard saved the day once again, just like last year. And the Oilers have racked up 12 wins out of their last 14 games since then. They came back and beat the Kings in 6. Then they beat Vegas in 5, which I don't think any of us saw coming, especially since it's Vegas. Then they beat the Dallas Stars in 5 games, which was pretty amazing. We had our local Dallas Stars fan in the chat saying "Go Panthers." I wonder why.
Sorry, Kevin.
Sorry, Kevin, but not sorry. So let's talk about this Oilers team, and I'm going to start off with our resident Oilers fan. That would be Mr. Dustin Henry. Let's talk about your players to watch.
Players to watch. I've kind of said it. I kind of said it the other night on our show, but I'll say it again. People forget. Well, I don't think Oiler fans forget, but Leon Draisaitl was bad in last year's playoffs. Last year's playoffs, he was bad. He didn't score a goal until late. There was a tally. People were keeping track of when he was actually going to score a goal. And last I checked, gentlemen, Leon Draisaitl is a huge part of the Oilers' offense and their game plan. So the fact that he's gotten going this postseason is kind of the X factor to me. And the Oilers, they have a different factor this year. I did not think they would get past the Kings. I didn't think they would do it, especially when they went down 0-2 to start. But to me, Leon Draisaitl has been a big reason why the Oilers have a little bit of a different feel this year. He's got it going. He's scoring. The drought in last year's playoffs really affected him and the team. You could see everybody was rooting for him, but he was just off in last year's playoffs. And thankfully for Oiler fans, that is not the case this year.
All right, let's throw it over to Brent. Mr. Captain Canada over here. Let's talk about some of the players he's watching on this Edmonton Oilers squad.
It's funny, like, once again, the goalie hugger is going to come out in me, but it's funny, not 3 to 4 weeks ago.
Everyone loves a goalie hug, Brent. Come on.
Yeah, well, I was dumb enough to play that position for a lot of years when I was a kid. So, it's one of those things. But Stuart Skinner was bloody awful against the Kings those first 2 games, and he got outplayed. And the people of Edmonton and all the fans everywhere were basically saying, you know what? We should never see Stuart Skinner play hockey ever again on an Oilers jersey. And it was right across sports radio, everything right across the country, that Skinner is going to be the downfall of this organization. And it turns out he turned out pretty good. Losing Zach Hyman is going to hurt this Oilers team a lot. He's a great guy. Another nice move, Toronto, by not re-signing him, but just trip all over themselves no matter what. The Leafs, it always comes back to them somehow. But they just have the guy. They have that guy, the captain, and you can't stop him. And the way that they've held goalies, I can't remember the guy's name in Los Angeles. My sneak going through my brain, but then you go to Aiden Hill in
Darcy
Vegas. Kemper's a Vezina Trophy finalist. He's a great goalie. The Oilers went, yeah, no, see you later. Then they got Aiden Hills, won Stanley Cup with the Golden Knights. Yeah, didn't matter. Last round against Dallas, didn't matter. Yeah, see you later. And it's just been they're not scared of goalies, and that's the thing. They're scoring goals at will. Other than that, game one that the Oilers lost, where they played 5 bad minutes against Dallas, they destroyed Dallas, and it wasn't close. And so this Edmonton team, because they have the McDavid factor, and I think it's huge. And losing last year is huge. And you remember back in, like you said earlier, Ryan, it's 08, 09, when Crosby got his first one, he lost the first time through. You go back to before Brian was born, back in the 80s, when the Oilers lost the Islanders, and then they come back and won the next year. So that's kind of a factor. I know it's history. None of these guys will remember that. Doesn't come into factor. But those are things that you can kind of, okay, this is how you learn a little bit. And they're good. Losing Hyman, but losing Hyman hurts this team a lot, and that's something that could be the X factor for the Oilers to not be successful. And I think that's a big thing that could be the reason why they lose. I think they're just like right now, man for man, they're good enough to win, but losing one of your top guys who isn't afraid to get dirty, not afraid to hit a guy, because his hit factor was up to the totem pole, and he's just a great gritty playoff guy, and that one's going to hurt the Oilers a lot. Other than that, I think they're fine. I really do.
Okay. We have Dan Cruz from the Time to BS podcast saying, I love how Brian is the younger whippersnapper in this room. He is indeed the youngest whippersnapper in this room.
Yeah,
that's for sure. And
I bet you I have
Godzilla Media.
Brian. Yeah.
Yeah, and Godzilla Media, Tom Gazlowski says, keep up the nice work, Brian. I'm not sure if you meant you or me, Mr. Germanaro, but
I'll take it. Thanks, bro.
And Dan Cruz saying, Stuart Skinner reminds me of Corey Crawford without the cups. He's inconsistent in the regular season, but he's been solid come playoffs.
Skinner played in junior hockey here in Lethbridge for the Hurricanes, and I never thought he was very good. Like, I watched him a lot. He's big. He's big.
He is big, yeah.
That, but I was like, he's big. I never thought he was great. And then, he's getting a few more zeros on the end of his paychecks than I am. So he must be doing something right.
Yeah. He's like 6'4", I think. And I feel like goalie has always been something in Edmonton that you're kind of chasing. I mean, I remember when Jeff Drouin Delorier was supposed to be the next big thing in goalie in Edmonton, and they just Ty Conklin was starting in net for the goalie or for the Oilers, and they've never had a lot of consistency in there, and they had that run. Rolison he got hot, and they made that cup run in 2006, which I'm still bitter about. So, but goaltending. Maybe Skinner has found it now with Edmonton and with Pickard to come in and spell if things go south. I mean, it's a good combination, but Bobrovsky is so good. So
I think that for the Oilers to also be successful, if Skinner is just good, stop all the easy ones, a few of the hard ones, he'll be fine. But if he goes back to any kind of, if he doesn't lose them games, they'll be okay. But he has that tendency to lose them games, and he just something just falls apart. But then he, like last week, even that game last Sunday, afternoon at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We were kind of back and forth on that one, Ryan. Well, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life, playing a game at that time of day on a Sunday. But whatever. I wasn't
on Memorial Day weekend in the United States. Come on.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
NHL, just find a way to trip all over themselves. It's yeah.
Oh yeah.
NHL getting in our own way since 1994.
Yeah.
Skinner was fantastic that day. The Stars outshot him 22-6 in that second period, and it wasn't Skinner that would have lost that game. But there you go. If he's good, they'll be fine. But if he's iffy, because you don't want to. If Calvin Pickard is your saving grace, you better be looking for something else to do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll point, like you said, Brent, I'll point back to that second period in Game 4 of the Western Conference Final where you had what Skinner had 20 saves, 19 saves on 20 shots in that period. He saved that for them. Saved that game for them. All right, we're going to turn over to Brian now. Brian Germanaro. Let's talk to him about the players to watch for this Oilers team. What do you got, Brian?
I mean, I'm just gonna say, because I don't think everyone said it, we're all gonna watch McDavid, but that's beyond that's that's just implied. But I'm looking at more of the bottom, I guess, like mid-6 of the Oilers roster. Guys like Corey Perry, who's lighting up the scoreboard this postseason.
Very good Stanley Cup player.
Yeah, 7 goals, 3 assists, 4 of them. 4 of them coming on the power play. If he can continue to put those numbers up, they'll be fine. And Connor Brown has been a surprisingly decent player. He's got 5 goals and 3 assists to the players so far. So excited to see, especially like I said earlier, if the Panthers are able to lock down, McDavid and Draisaitl, they're going to have to rely on Perry and Brown to get those points. And if Perry can continue to do it the way he does, and it's his 5th straight Stanley Cup, maybe this time it's different.
I'll give 2 players my own for players to watch. Jeff Skinner, who just scored his first playoff goal in his career.
Wait, his career?
Yes, Jeff.
Yeah. No way.
Yes,
I didn't realize it was his career.
Well, he played in Buffalo for a while.
He played in Carolina. He was drafted by Carolina. He was drafted by Carolina. Drafted by Carolina. Went to hockey purgatory, aka Buffalo. Now he's in Edmonton playing his first playoff series, and he scored in Game 5. Against the Oilers,
so he was getting healthy, scratched, and whatever. They had to throw him in because
Zach Hyman got hurt. Yeah. But I want to watch him. I want to watch him, and I'm also going to watch Evan Bouchard, who had an amazing Stanley Cup playoffs last year. He had 32 points last year in the Stanley Cup playoffs on 25 games. But he's got some points this year. He's got some very important points: 6 goals, 11 assists. And he's got 2 power play goals himself. So he's a guy who silently had a great Stanley Cup final playoff last year. And he's doing the same thing again. He's arguably the Oilers' most reliable defenseman, both on the back end playing defense and also putting up points when they need it. So those are my 2 guys to watch.
Brian, I'm glad you brought up Perry because eventually he's got to ride off into the sunset. And if he could win one, now and win one in Canada and all that hoo-ha that Ryan was talking about, one Stanley Cup 93, blah blah blah. But it's it's just you just go if he could win one here, like what else do you have left to do? Like I'm sure he's got a couple of bucks in the bank account. I would hope. Anyway, so long he's played. He does. He's probably had a really good time, but that's none of my business. But just something like this could be a go on a high note and win one with McDavid and on it goes. This might be something that Corey Perry might come out and say, you know what, I've done this before. I've been a part of some championship teams. I have an MVP. He's going to the Hall of Fame, and if he can put this on the mantle at the end of his career, I mean that he could be one of those guys to go out and get a gritty goal because he don't mind, even at his age, he doesn't mind going to the net and taking a stick to the face and do what he's got to do to win. And he's the kind of guy he's the Marchand of Edmonton, right? So having a guy like him in the dressing room, he's one of the last guys off the ice all the time. You're watching the leadership that he has for some of those younger guys, and he's been there before. And he's won before at all levels, whether it be gold medals or world championships, world junior championships, junior hockey, right on through. Corey Perry's, he might be the guy to say, okay, I'm not the fastest on the ice, I'm the best on the ice, but he might be that guy to push him over the edge a little bit. You never know. And he's another sandpaper kind of guy. I think this series is going to be a lot rougher than people really expected in the Stanley Cup Final, because the game has changed a lot in the last, not even just last 10 years, last 5 years, how much it's changed. But this one's going to be some old school hockey where there's going to be the odd tooth lost here and there. I think it's going to be a great series.
So we're going to move on to playoff, like we did in the last period, matchup strengths. And I'm going to start with Brian here. What's one strength you feel that the Oilers have over the Panthers?
There's two that come to mind for me. For starters, is the Oilers definitely win in star power. Like, I don't think the Panthers have great players, don't get me wrong, but no one that can stand up to like a McDavid or Draisaitl. But more importantly is how they play defensively in important, in crunch time. During the Western Conference Finals, in 3 of the 5 third periods, they held Dallas to 4 or less shots in those games. And in such important moments, kind of boxing their team in and keeping them out, or making them have offensive possession to go nowhere, that can kill a team's confidence. That give you some confidence because you're constantly forcing turnovers, getting the puck back on your side. That could tire out the other team's goaltender. You get some shots in if you could just shut them down offensively.
All right, Dustin, how about you? What are some strengths you feel that the Oilers have over the Florida Panthers?
Well, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, but the strength they have over the Florida Panthers is they have who is considered the best hockey player in the world right now, Connor McDavid. The skills challenge, the All-Stars skill challenge, they call it the Connor McDavid Invitational. He can do everything. If he's not scoring, he's setting up goals. He's doing everything, and he's got that maniacal drive to win, I think, like Brent talked about earlier, because I told you, Ryan, I was afraid that the Oilers were going to, when they lost in the Western Conference Finals a few years back, I was afraid that the Oilers were wasting McDavid's prime, because I'm such a stressful man, I get all worked up, but that's the advantage. It may seem easy to say that, but I think that's the true advantage that the Oilers have. And just they do not want to lose again, even though they have the pressure. I mean, let's be honest here. They have the hopes of a nation pinned to their backs here heading into this series, hoping, because Canadians everywhere are hoping that they can hoist the cup for the first time since 1993.
There it is. How about you? All right, Brent.
It's really funny. Like there was a thing on the Twitter machine or whatever you want to call it that Vancouver fans like we're not even watching. Calgary fans, which is halfway between where I live and Edmonton, are like, no, they're not cheering for Edmonton.
Yeah, no, Calgary will never. Yeah,
and then
cheer
Toronto fans like, we haven't been there, so it's not the entire nation, but there's a good portion of the nation that's going to be definitely cheering for the Oilers. It's a lot of fun. Like that's the biggest thing. Like and when you have two teams that have been there before and really are meaning to go out there and win another one. Because if you win one, that's fantastic. You get 2 under your belt and you sniff that, you want to keep going and going and going. And that's what Florida has right now. And the guy that I like to maybe he might have himself a big playoff. Sam Bennett. He played for Team Canada. Well, you guys never bring up that Four Nations face-off for some reason. Why is that? Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
We're not here to talk about the Four Nations.
Oh, okay. I'm just curious how that would brought up. You guys can poke and prod 32 years of misery, but then something happened 3 months ago. What? Yeah. We didn't win the world champion. Well, we also won the sled championships yesterday over the weekend over Canada, 6-1. So
yeah, the what championships?
Sledge hockey.
The sled hockey.
Okay.
Sledge, yeah.
Okay.
No, it's good.
Yeah, sled hockey. Yeah.
I think that Sam Bennett
just as good.
Like Sam Bennett's going to have himself a playoff because his contract's up at the end of this season. I don't think he's ever going to leave Florida. Like why would you leave the like you were saying earlier that nobody knows where you are. You're making lots of money. You don't get taxed. Blah blah blah. It's a perfect scenario. You wear your flip flops all year long. Like it's a great place to play. And but I think he could get himself a really nice contract if he has something and get another ring and add a resume. And Bennett's a heck of a player. Like he's a heck of a player, and he's got that extra grit too. And he don't mind punch. I think he'd punch his grandma in the face to win a hockey game. And he's that kind of guy. He's that kind of a guy who does that. And that's what you need to do in this these finals. It's going to be a great series. It's going to be a rough tumble series. But who's going to be rougher and who? But But
can the Oilers be rougher though? Can they match that grit,
No.
that sandpaper, as you say, Brent?
I don't think they can. I really don't think they can.
Okay.
Just like, because you got that little rat Tkachuk and that little rat Marchand running around, and you can't hurt. I don't think you could punch those two hard enough. They just don't care. Like I really don't think you can. And there's nobody on the Oilers who, I shouldn't say nobody, but like that team, they're a gritty bunch, and they play heavy and they play hard. And if they want to go and, like, I think what their game plan, I'm sure Paul Maurice has probably thought this is, it probably isn't an original thought that's going through the hockey world right now. But if Maurice says, go run these guys through the wall for the first 10 minutes of that game on Wednesday night, and let's see what they got. Let's see what they got. Don't worry about the puck. You go and hit this guy and hit that guy, and let's see what they got. And if they want to push back, you push back harder. And that, because I think Maurice knows that he's not going to outskill these guys. Right, you're not going to outskill McDavid. You're not going to outscore Draisaitl. Like, you remember, like back with that first round, everybody's counting the Oilers out, and then McDavid wasn't doing anything, and Draisaitl wasn't doing anything, and all of a sudden by the third round, well, there it is. There's Draisaitl and McDavid doing the whole thing again. But I think that the game plan for the Panthers is to definitely just, let's run these guys out of the building. Don't even touch the puck for the first 10 minutes and see what they got. And if they want to push back, we'll push harder. I think that has to be their game plan.
So before we go into the third period, I do want to bring up this narrative that's going on with the Oilers, the revenge factor, getting revengeful. All right, for the Oilers, and is this narrative of the revenge a distraction, or is it just completely irrelevant and they just want to play and just win the cup? I'm going to start with Brian on this one. Let's get your opinion about whether or not this is a distraction. This narrative is a distraction, or if it's just completely irrelevant. I
don't think it's irrelevant, because I definitely think it's on their mind. I don't think it's a distraction either, but I definitely think they could use it as fuel. Like if Knoblauch's smart, he kind of, it's like bulletin board material. You put, hey, this is a team that beat us last year. Let's go out and, show complete the comeback that we didn't last year. Show them that last year was a fluke, that we are good enough. And if you're Connor McDavid, like Brent was saying earlier, and you are the, undisputed best player in the world right now, and still a Stanley Cup, do you really want your legacy being like Dan Marino's, when you're like this great player, but the first thing everyone brings up about you is he's a great player, but he didn't win the championship? So
laces out, McDavid.
But no, I definitely think it could fuel them to get over that hump.
Leave it to Belly Up Sports for the very first ever Connor McDavid, Dan Marino reference. That's
proud of it.
All right, yeah.
We are what they aren't, folks.
Oh, we are.
All right, Brent, I'm going to hand it over to you. Is the revenge narrative, is it a distraction, or is it completely irrelevant?
It's a thing. You don't want to have someone beating you twice. I believe that. You don't want to have someone getting the better of you anytime once, let alone twice. If they do it again, and then like next year. If not now, then when? And that's probably the biggest thing crossing these guys' mind. If we don't do it now, then when? Because these guys aren't going away. They're getting better. They have guys under contract. They have everything going on. And if we can't do it now, then when are we going to do it? Because getting out of the West is actually, I think it's a lot tougher than getting out of the East. And so once you get there, and if you don't beat the teams out east, you're not going to do it next year, because now everybody's a year older. And with the way free agency works, and you don't got a lot of guys beating down the door to go and play in Edmonton. McDavid has changed that, obviously, but if like I was saying earlier, if you can choose between wearing flip flops or mucklucks, what are you going to do? It's pretty simple. Right, and same money with less taxes. So I think it's a huge thing. If we don't get it done now, then when are we going to do it? And if these guys beat us again, that gets between your ears, and it's tough. It's really tough. And every team goes through it. All these championship teams, they got to be the man, got to beat the man. If you can't beat him, it's geez. Eventually, if you can't beat him, you join him. It happens all the time in professional sports.
So for our American audience, I believe mucklucks are a type of boot.
Yes.
Hey,
worn by the Inuit. Yes, they're fur-lined winter boots.
I'm separating
they
my
don't
shoulder,
wear
pat myself
anymore.
on
It's
the
a
back.
thing from back in the Hudson Bay days, you guys. My Lord. Oh, like we don't have igloos. Like I laugh a lot because I was on a podcast a couple of times with a guy who lives in Pennsylvania, and I'm only an hour from the U.S. border, but he thinks it's a whole nother planet. Like, oh, it's got to be cold up there. It's colder where you are most of the time than where I am. I don't understand.
You do have $1 coins. I mean, the
They're
loonies.
great.
We have them too, Ryan, or we had them. Can't remember.
We were trying to convert them, but apparently it didn't happen. I mean, the penny's going away though. Anyway, that's another podcast.
Save millions and millions, if not billions of dollars.
Billions of dollars. This team's gonna save. All right, Dustin. Let's get your opinion here. Revenge, is the revenge narrative a distraction or is it irrelevant? From an Oilers fan.
I don't think it's a distraction. I think kind of what Brian was saying, if Knoblauch's smart, he uses it as a rallying cry and uses this as momentum to band the Oilers together and say, hey, look, this is what people are saying about us. They're saying that we can't do it. Let's go out there and do it. And Ryan, I'm a wrestling fan of the past. I know you keep up with the current product a little more than me, perhaps, but loosely. It's finishing the story. That's what it is. It's the
Dustin Rhodes.
It's Cody Rhodes finishing the story. So I think the Oilers have a shot to do this. And Knoblauch this year, even though, like Brent was saying, the Oilers lack the coaching experience behind the bench, but it seems like Knoblauch has been able to press all the right buttons this year to get the Oilers back. He's kind of helped, and if he's smart, he uses it as a rallying cry. And while we're not on the subject, but I'd like to address the the Panthers can pay players more because they pay less in taxes. Well, that may be, but the Panthers were also bad a few years ago. So what about all those? What about all those years? You could still pay the Panthers all that money, but it didn't help it. But now they're good, so people are saying that's the reason they're good. That's not the reason they're good. That's not the reason they're good.
They got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
They have a lot. You don't win championships because of the bank accounts.
No.
You don't win championships because of what your payroll is. They're really good.
What's that expression? Scared money don't make money?
Yeah.
I think it's something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Biz, you hear that? Bizanet, Paul Bizanet, TNT. You hear that? That's not the reason. Not the reason why these teams are losing. They lose because they lose, not because of a tax benefit.
They're badly run.
Dumb.
He should almost shut it. Like, he's a great personality. Don't get me wrong, and obviously their shows, everything. He's on TNT and all. I think TNT does a fantastic job.
They do a really good job.
It's entertaining. It's great, and it's progressive, and it's fantastic. But there's times where I think he says stuff just to say stuff, just for clicks. And he's getting away with it a lot more, and maybe it's time to maybe. This was
the same guy who proposed a play-in for the Stanley Cup playoff. I'm like, no, we are not. This league is not the NBA.
Yeah,
keep it as it is. Keep it as it is. All right, we're gonna switch over to the third period, which is our final period of this program. We're gonna talk about series predictions between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers, and we're gonna start with our who wins Game 1 of this series. Again, Wednesday night, puck drop at 8 p.m. Eastern. I believe it's in Florida.
Yep.
If I'm not correct. If I'm correct. But let's talk about who wins Game 1 and what players are going to have the biggest impact in this series. I'm going to start off with Mr. Brent Radlinski here. It's about who's going to win Game 1 and which players are going to have the biggest impact in this series. We've been talking about it a little bit, but we can talk about it a little bit more.
Florida wins. Florida probably wins Game 1. Winning on the road in the Stanley Cup playoffs is really tough, and then being the champions and blah 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 on and on. So you got to. I mean, you read all the betting sites. I'm not a big bettor like I used to be, so I quit. So I'm very good at it. But
Game 1's in Edmonton. My apologies.
Edmonton.
Edmonton.
I should know that.
Super producer Kelsey on the ball. ball.
I should know that. But yeah, it's but I still want to say that Edmonton's been a wagon at home. They have been. But Florida, because they're the champions, and Marchand, I think Marchand's going to be that guy to go out and do a little bit of damage in that game. They both had a little extra time off, but I think that Edmonton, with the home crowd, they're going to be gripping their sticks a little bit and want to do too much. And that can happen a lot with at home in those games and trying to just get everything done. They're going to try to score 3 goals with one shot. I mean, it's just the way that works in hockey. And the Florida's going to come out and crash and bang and get that. But that crowd in Edmonton, I don't know how much you guys have been watching. It's crazy.
Oh, I love that crowd in Edmonton.
And that's been going on. You go back to the 06 playoffs, and you go back. I remember back in I think it was '97 when they finally won a round a couple of times. Like, how the heck are they doing this? When they had who was in net?
Cujo.
Cujo was in net there. Yeah, and
with the Stars in round 1. Yeah.
Doug Waite and Bill Guerin and those guys right back. That's a long time ago. But that crowd is insane. But if Dallas is going to come out, they're going to crash, bang, burn, and Florida wins that first game 4-3, 4-2 kind of deal. Skinner won't be great, but he won't be bad enough. But he won't be great, and Florida wins that first game.
All right, Dustin. Game 1, who you're watching?
Well, I hate to do this, but I was nodding feverishly while Brent was talking because I feel like Florida's going to carry the momentum of being the champs. They're going to come out, they're going to take this first one, and everyone is going to be a little shocked because I think Edmonton wants to do it so bad. I think they start out a little tight. I think they like Brent was saying, they're gripping the sticks a little too hard. They're trying to do a little too much. And I think Florida, they're going to come in with those blizzards and they're going to be ready to go. So I think Florida comes out, takes this game 1. And then, game 2, the equipment manager, he gets McDavid's gloves nice and dry and the Oilers come back. But I think that, game 1, it goes to Florida. And I think it's going to be their physicality and Tkachuk, he's going to get under their skin somehow, and he's going to be reveling in it for that game 1.
All right, Brian, over to you.
I guess we got a 3 for 3 here. I'm going with the Panthers to win game 1 too. The Panthers have won 5 straight games in a row, outscored opponents 27-7 in that time span, and the Oilers are only 3-3 in game 1s over the past 2 years, and it's the first game 1 in Edmonton since the opening round of the 2023-2024 playoffs. So that could lead into, grabbing the sticks too hard, that kind of atmosphere. They're not used to it. I think the Panthers come out physical. They set the tone real early, and they end up winning the game 4-2.
I'm going to be a contrarian in this panel. I'm going to say the Oilers win game 1. And I'll tell you why. This power play of the 6-2. The Edmonton Oilers power play has been incredible this playoff. 30% on the power play, and they're even better at home. So if they can force the Panthers to play gritty and maybe get a few calls and capitalize on those calls, I think that'll be the difference in game 1. So now we've gotten that out of the way. Let's focus on the stars of this game. Let's do this. Let's do our Stanley Cup Finals prediction with the winner and series length, and we're going to also talk about our Conn Smythe Trophy winners. So I'm going to start with Brian here. Who's your Stanley Cup champion? How many games? And who's your Conn Smythe winner?
I got the Florida Panthers in 6. I think this is, like I said before, they know they can beat this Oilers team. They have the grittiness. Tkachuk can get under your skin just like that. Maybe Tkachuk's been a little bit burned, losing to Team Canada and Connor McDavid in the World Four Nations. If you want to throw that into the mix, we can. But I think the Panthers get it done, and I think Aleksander Barkov takes on the Conn Smythe, currently leading the Panthers with 17 points. I think the NHL might zag from giving it to a loser they did last year and give it to a guy on the winning side this year.
I believe Barkov just won the Selke Trophy. If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I believe he did. I think
yes.
Before we move on, what's your guy? Like, I understand, McDavid was the best, but you still lost. Like, how can you be I get it, the MVP, but what's your guys' thoughts on that? That a guy.
I'm still sore from Marty Brodeur not winning the Conn Smythe Trophy in 2003. They gave it to J.S. Jaguar. I'm still a little sore about that.
Yeah, you lost, especially you didn't win enough.
Yeah.
So you.
And Tkachuk shouldn't have gotten it because he played with a broken freaking sternum.
Yeah, exactly. That could kill him.
Yeah. And super producer Chelsea in the chat says that it's a 14-minute walk from the closest Dairy Queen to Rogers Arena.
That's not bad.
Yeah, there's Ubers in Edmonton. They can.
And there's also
that's 14 minutes
also,
Canadian. It's like $10 minutes American. You're good.
Exactly.
Yes, time increases in Canada. He also tells us that it's a plus 2,000 odds for someone to win the Conn Smythe and lose the Stanley Cup.
So someone was really happy last year.
Someone made a lot of money last year.
Yeah, I'm debating. You know, I love McDavid as much as anybody, and I'm an Oilers fan. But even I was like, why is he getting it? You know, they lost. You know that.
The caveat they said was like, oh, it's the best player in the playoffs. But at the same time, they didn't win the ultimate prize and go of the playoffs. So like, how could he be the best player?
Andre Dawson won an MVP on a losing Chicago Cubs squad. So these things happen. Okay,
but MVP I feel is different than like the playoffs. You know, like if you have a really good season, it kind of overshadows it.
But yes, I don't like it. I know the media members are trying to do McDavid a solid by giving him a Mr. Congeniality, but I don't like it.
Yeah, I did not like that.
He didn't even come on. He didn't even go on the ice when it was announced that he won the trophy.
I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either.
I just lost the biggest game of my life. Do you think I want to get some cockamamie trophy? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially if you've seen the video of him like yelling and screaming and stuff. Yeah, no wonder he wanted to go back out there. He was pissed.
It was because he didn't have dry enough gloves. That's if you've seen, you gotta watch that video. If you haven't watched that,
I love that.
It's very funny. All right, Brent, Stanley Cup winner. How many games and who's your Conn Smythe Trophy winner?
I think for the Oilers, the Oilers win in 6. I think it's McDavid's year. I think it's finally, if not now, like I said earlier on, if not now, then when. I think they have it. They're going to get it done. And I think for Stuart, Skinner has to be good. Not great, but good. But because the way it kind of went about, and I don't think they'll just give it to McDavid as a constant, like just because you're supposed to. He'll have to do something pretty remarkable for them to give it to him, or it's already by default. His name's already engraved in the trophy. But I think because the goaltender has to be better. Then that's the big matchup. It's Bobrovsky versus Stewie Skinner, and I think Skinner has to be better than Bobrovsky for them to win. And I think he wins the Conn Smythe. Oilers in 6. Cup comes back to Canada for the first time since, like you said, 1993.
All right, Dustin. Again, same question to you. Who wins? How many games? Who's your Conn Smythe Trophy winner?
Okay. This is more of a hope than a prediction, but Oilers in 7. I think it takes all 7 games. I think this series is going to go the distance. I think there's going to be momentum swings, and I think Connor McDavid does get it. He gets the Conn Smythe. Although if the Panthers win, I think Bobrovsky gets it. I think he's the one. He'll be the difference that gets it. And I noticed that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has pretty long odds to get the Conn Smythe. I'd like to, just for sentimental reasons, I'd like to throw down a couple of bucks, because if Ryan Nugent-Hopkins somehow gets the Conn Smythe, that will make me a lot of money, but also make me very happy. He's been on the Oilers since 2011, 2012 season. It was a completely different team back then. Alez Hemsky was still in Edmonton. Taylor Hall was still in Edmonton. Wow. Jordan Eberle was still in Edmonton. And Nugent-Hopkins has been there the whole time. I hope they get the cup for the Nuge.
The Nuge.
He's been around for a long time. He has. You don't hear much of him. He's been a solid player for a long time. And I always wonder these ones with. We got to head out here, but it's always like the captain gets the cup first. It's who gets it next. Like that's always a good little storyline that they always talk about. Who does the captain hand it off to? I remember when Ray Bourque won that. He was part of that team. He didn't do anything. But
should have been a devil in 2000.
He got the cup and Sakic handed it off to him, and how that always works out. You just wonder if you would have to think that if the Oilers do it, that it goes to Nuge because he's been there for so long. Like you
have to.
Like Perry's already got one, so he wouldn't get it because he's probably retiring if they do win one. And you wonder who Barkov would give it to with Florida. I mean, it's always a good little storyline to watch when it all gets done. And I personally I love it. Like everybody like in Canada, like when you play in street hockey, I'm sure when you guys play whatever, the same thing. Like when you reenact, and every kid's won a Stanley Cup at one point in their life in their parents' driveway, and it's just always something to really watch. And the montages are great, and the stories. It's great. It's the best. To me, we talked about it, Ryan, before on your show and other places. It's the hardest trophy to win, and it's not close. It's not. Anybody wants to argue with me, I'm an open book, because you can win a Super Bowl winning four games. You can win a round winning 4 games, and that's it. You got to go again and go again and go again, and it's tough. And the way these guys do it, and it goes too long because it is June, but it's remarkable what these guys can do, and it's gonna be fun to watch for next week and a half.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And,
or hopefully the next 6 nights since it's all done. So
super producer Kelsey has dropped in the chat. He says 18,000 plus 18,000 odds for Ryan Nugent Hopkins to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. As for me, my predictions, I got Oilers winning in 6 games, and I got Leon Draisaitl to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. Although I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I won't be shocked if Connor McDavid wins. He's been locked in since the Four Nations that we don't talk about. He's been locked in since then. Even with the ankle, throughout the ankle injury that he had in March and that little slide that the Oilers went on. But he's been locked in since. Yeah. And also for funsies, Mr. Super Producer Kelsey has put in the chat, Corey Perry is a plus 50,000 odds for the Conn Smythe Trophy. Man. So I may be placing some little
I was gonna say
taco bets after the show.
Oh yeah, here we go. I'm going to a Dairy Queen after the show. I'll tell you right now. I got one right down the road.
Yeah, right down the road. I'm so jealous. All right, we're gonna wrap things up here in just a moment or two. Thank you to everyone who's joined us in the chat, who's been watching on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. Thank you for joining, or X. I still call it Twitter. I'm not going to call it X.
Twitter.
It's Twitter. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. If you're listening on the podcast side, we appreciate you joining us. We're going to go around and tell people where you can find us. We're going to start with Brian. Where can people find you, and where can people find your show?
So you can find me at BrianPG1016 on Twitter. I have all my writing for Belly Up Sports, as long as all the other websites I write for. And you can find me on the 3rd and 10 podcast, airs every Tuesday and Thursday over on our YouTube, 3rd and 10 on YouTube. And tomorrow, we're starting back up the Belly Up Fantasy Football Show. I will be on it tomorrow at 9. So a lot of stuff in the work going on over here.
It's June, and we're talking about fantasy football already.
Dynasty tomorrow. Dynasty quarterbacks tomorrow.
I don't, whatever.
Brent, where can the people find you on your lovely podcast?
The 1420 Sports Bar podcast, 4 beer sports, talking a whole lot more, recording in about 47 minutes to talk about just pretty much the exact same thing. Talking some Oilers hockey, and then the Bullhorn, the Leopards Bulls baseball report, got that going on, and some other things in the works too. So busy. Sports is my life, and I got to get to live it, make a couple bucks on it too. So it's a lot of fun. So thanks for having me on, guys. It's a lot of fun. I always like talking hockey with you guys and talking sports with you guys. It's always a good time.
From what I understand, your Lethbridge Bulls will also be on Flow Hockey, Flow Sports this year.
The WCBL is now teamed up with Flow Sports for this year, so it's a great acquisition, great partnership that we have with Flow. So it's really good to get out there. Cool. Now you get out there and people can watch it for a lot less money, so it's actually a really good partnership.
Yeah, I'll be sure to try to tune into a couple of games this year for sure. And also for a friend of No Credentials Required in Belly Up Sports, Rod Pearson. He's calling the Moose Jaw Miller's games. So we'll try to tune in for his program, for his show, his play-by-play too. Dustin, where can people find you?
Well, you're going to, for people that watch No Credentials Required, you're going to see me tomorrow night. You can mostly, if Ryan is on a podcast, there's like a 70% chance I'll be there. But you can find me on Twitter at LDusto67, on Instagram at LDusto67. And you can also find me from time to time on Seahawks Sessions. We are in the off season right now. So there's not as many shows, but we'll let you know when we're going live. So you can catch me on that show as well.
All right. As for me, you can also find me on No Credentials Required. the tagline where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube at NoCredsREQ. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at WhoIsRyanMCC. Our show is on Tuesdays. Tonight night will be at 7 o'clock Eastern, and also on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern. You can find the replay on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel and wherever you find podcasts. So I want to thank all the guys, Dustin, Brent, Brian, super producer Kelsey in the back, pressing all the buttons, doing all that hard work for us. Enjoy the Stanley Cup Final. It's the best time of the year to watch sports, in my opinion. But hey, I mean, even if you're just a casual fan, you're going to enjoy the Stanley Cup Final. But for us hardcore people, we enjoy it just as much or more than you do. But I'm going to have some fun watching the Stanley Cup Final. I hope you do too. For Brent, for Dustin, for Brian, for Kelsey in the back, I'm Ryan McCarthy. Thanks for joining us on the Belly Up Super Show for the Stanley Cup Final. Enjoy the hockey.